Hey there guys, it's Anthony here from Cutting Edge Guitar. In today's video we're going to be talking about another recommended electric guitar book that you absolutely need, and it is Speed Mechanics for Lead Guitar by Troy Stetina. Now, looking at the cover, it looks 80s shred. It's kind of looking, probably even feels a little bit dated these days. I'll tell you something, back in, I don't even know when this book came out, but back when I was at school, when I was about 14 and I got this book, this was kind of like the shred guitar Bible. Now, shred guitar wasn't particularly popular when I was growing up. We'd had the sort of 90s grunge era had came in, kind of, took a machine gun to shred guitar. Throughout all of the rest of the 90s, it wasn't as popular as perhaps it could have been, although, of course, we had bands like Dream Theater and, people like Sean Lane who popped up in the 90s and, all of this sort of thing. Generally speaking, technical guitar got sort of a bad name for itself. And then in the early 2000s, it sort of started to come back with people like Guthrie Govan coming on the scene in sort of about 2005, 2006, whatever. The advent of things like YouTube. Guitar playing is something that's very watchable as it is listenable. And I think, YouTube has kind of brought technical guitar back to the fore, and so has Instagram and, other social medias where you can watch things. People like to see people who are technically gifted on the guitar. And the fact is, although this might be an old book and it might feel a bit dated and everything now, the material doesn't get old, does it? Because guitar technique is guitar technique. And to tell you the truth, this book is really superbly well done. It's chock full of loads of little exercises, 16th based or triplet, sextuplet, all sorts of different rhythm styles, little bits of scale portions. There's some nice handy little pictures in there, which I suppose, these days we don't need those things so much because we can see videos of people and all that stuff. But I would say this, that as a learner, I come from a time before YouTube and all that, and it was actually really quite nice to sit just with you and your guitar and a book and just sit and work through some exercises. You might have a little bit of a metronome ticking away and all that sort of stuff, but back then you didn't have to set up your computer, you didn't have to go and plug in your fancy amp that does a million different things and spend loads of time tightening up all the gear and worrying about, how everything's set, all this sort of stuff. You just plug into an amp, get your book going, start playing some exercises, get yourself proficient, and then all of a sudden you can go, all right, now I'll stick on a CD where there's some backing tracks or what have you, have a jam, and then be done. And I really enjoyed working my way through this as a youngster. I mean, I started using this book probably before I started getting super technical. So I was using this when I was trying to learn how to play the early Metallica stuff, probably a bit of Slash and people like that. So, like standard rock style lead guitar stuff is what I used this book to get my chops up for. By the time that I discovered the likes of Paul Gilbert or John Petrucci, all of them other kind of players, I was taking all sorts of different lessons. I've always had lessons from like the age of 13. I had a bit of a break with my guitar playing when I was probably about 16. I had like a year off. But other than that, I've almost always took lessons and all them sorts of things. So when I was getting into the super technical stuff, I was just doing the workouts that my guitar teacher was giving me, and going off to the Guitar Institute. Then you're doing all that stuff or whatever. But in the early days, this was a really useful supplement to the lessons that I was doing. So if you're looking for a bunch of exercises, just to get you tearing up the fretboard a little bit, I think this is a really, really cool book. So check it out. And that's all I've got to say about this one, guys. So please do give the video a little like, share it to anyone who wants to get their chops up and needs to see something like this. Please subscribe to the channel because, one, that will help me out massively, but 2, you'll get a notification the next time that I give you some advice or motivation, a recommendation for a book, a lesson, anything that I'm putting on my channel. I'm hoping is just really useful for guitar players, so don't miss out on it because it's free. Okay guys, you take care, and I will see you in the next video.